Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 1 Onikakushi. So last time, Keiichi's sanity is, every episode or every part that we make, his sanity just goes lower and lower, right? So last time someone tried to kill him, right? A van, tried to hit him, but maybe he's just being paranoid or someone is actually trying to kill him. Honestly, it's hard to tell now. And he also got his bat, the one he wanted, right? And we also learned from Rena that the missing, or not the missing, the boy who transferred, Satoshi, right? He was doing the exact same thing Keiichi is doing now. Having a bat, swinging it, and getting cold, I guess, to the other girls. So, yeah. It's happening to Keiichi now, and Irena was very, very angry, right? But yes, let's continue. Let's see what happens in today's episode. We arrived home. Yes, we arrived home. I stepped into the entryway just as I was about to take off my shoes. A chill ran down my spine. Someone had entered right behind me. This is terrifying though. Imagine if Rena got inside. Like a classmate messing around, standing right up against my back. You're kidding, right? It had to be my imagination. Logically speaking, it was impossible for someone to be able to hide their presence within my personal space all the way through the door. True though, for example, you enter, and if someone, even, at full speed, you would notice it a little bit, right? But there was undoubtedly someone behind me. Hey now, Keiichi. How do you know they're there even though they're behind you? Because I could hear the sound of flowing hair. There's no other reason I'd hear that sound. That was the presence. Because I could hear the sound of them blinking. Keiichi Maibara, there's no way you could hear that. My most base instincts were warning me of the presence. Common sense was telling me that it was just my imagination. It was just my imagination. There was nobody behind me. I began to erase the mental image of an eerie figure standing behind me. But at the same time, I asked myself, if there was nobody, then what was I feeling as an uncomfortable sensation crawled up my spine? Actually, wouldn't it be better if there was somebody there? If there was somebody there, when you turned around, would you be able to accept that? I'd be able to answer all those questions just by looking behind me. But the thing is, if you're very, very paranoid, right? The slightest movement, you would look at it. You would shift your body and like, who's there? Even though there was no one there, right? Alright, I could try speaking to them. The person behind me might answer me. It was a random thought, so I didn't care how I went about it, just as long as I didn't have to turn around. If I had calmed down and thought about it, I would have known that wouldn't have solved anything. I spoke in such a hoarse, broken voice that I couldn't believe it was my own. I could almost feel them contemplating the response. I felt it. There was no way I should be able to do that. Calm down, Keiichi. It's all in your head. That time, I was certain I heard it. As if hesitantly trying to answer my inquiry, I was certain I could hear the sound of somebody inhaling. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it clearly. It was a girl. A young girl. I didn't know who, but a tiny speck of courage in me, however reckless it was, inspired a primal yet fitting solution to this current predicament: a scream. All the force in my body released from my lungs and through my throat, ceasing all thought process in my head. Suppressing all my thoughts and emotions, I began to collapse like a house of cards, somehow managing to twist my body and look back as I did so. It was definitely there. Right there. Somebody was there. Until the moment I turned around, until I brought the area behind me into my field of vision, they were definitely there. Falling face up, my eyes traced the remnants of the presence suspended in the empty space. It couldn't be. They were invisible. They looked like they weren't there, but they were actually still standing there. As I screamed, all the emotions I was holding back burst free in a violent wave. However, I was decidedly calm as my emotional dam collapsed. The turbulent wave of pent-up emotions was skillfully diverted into a torrent of aggression. That emotion was definitely required to extricate myself from the bizarre situation happening right in front of me. In my state of heightened lucidity, I entrusted my body to the fury. The metal bat firm in my right hand as if drawn there by a magnet. A mid-level sweep would be the hardest attack to dodge. I remembered reading something like that from a book about swordsmanship or something. I brandished my will to fight. The after image of that amalgamation of metal flashed as it swung from left to right, beating against the entryway. The bat slammed right into the wall, the tip rebounding violently. Very calmly, I transferred the force of the rebound into a sweep to the left. The door of the shoe cupboard was split into pieces. Those two swings whiffed through empty space, but they seemed to have a great psychological impact on the enemy. I could feel the panic emanating from that space. The attack wasn't the only thing required. I extracted the bat from the cupboard it was embedded in and screamed as I spun my entire body around in a large arc. My screams shook the air, imbuing my ferocious swing with even more destructive power. He's just going mental right now. Like there's no one there, sir. Why do you keep doing this? You're breaking your door without mercy or restraint. My violent strike with certainly fatal force behind it shattered the top of the cupboard. None of my attacks struck the enemy, but my ferocity had certainly seemed to impact them. Breathing heavily, my entire body soaked in sweat, the invisible enemy there but not there dispersed. Okay. He calmed down now finally. When I was certain that the enemy had retreated, I locked the front door and latched the chain. No way had it only feigned retreat and was now inside my house. Once again, I channeled my aggression and searched the house for the presence. But it was gone. I succeeded in fending it off. Imagine though, for example, Rena actually made it inside right and then suddenly showed herself. Like, Keiichi-kun. Keiichi would swing that bat so fast, seriously. At that moment, the tension drained my body and I let out a deep sigh of relief. All of the emotions I'd been holding back chaotically merged together and begun to flat out. A hodgepodge of fear, accomplishment, and disbelief all mixed together and began to flow through my body. Unable to deal with each individual feeling, I beat them all back with the strongest exhaustion. Even in this moment, I remained composed. After checking that all the doors throughout the house were locked, I went up to my room on the second floor and closed the curtains. I straightened my back and tilted my head back a little. After clearing my mind of all my idle thoughts, I managed to calm down even more. What was that at the front door? There was definitely something there. Thinking about it, maybe it was just an apparition I dreamt up in my confused state, but I really didn't think that was the case. Calm down, Keiichi Maibara. Compose yourself. But no matter how calmly I thought about it, what just happened wasn't a figment of my imagination. It was obviously a supernatural phenomenon, and without a doubt, something was behind me. It wasn't some sort of illusion I saw amidst my confusion and disorientation. Proof? I had just one piece. When I asked, "Who is it?" they inhaled as if they were about to answer. That sound had clearly reached my ears. The situation I was in right now was still unclear. Either I'd been possessed by a supernatural phenomenon known as Oyashiro-sama's curse, or this was a ruse by the villagers who believe in it and were imitating it. Either way, their motives were unclear. The roundabout way it had been done was also still a mystery. If it was perpetrated by humans, that would mean admitting that it was Rena and the rest of them doing it, but it would be solvable. Oishi-san and the rest of the police would surely arrest my enemy. But if it was a manifestation of Oyashiro-sama's curse, I wonder what would happen. Oishi-san very clearly declared that curses didn't exist. At the time, those words were pretty dependable, but as things were now, with the rising possibility that the perpetrators were not human, he suddenly seemed quite unreliable. If I told Oishi-san this was the work of Oyashiro-sama's curse, what would have happened? I couldn't imagine his reaction, but it would go without question that a void would expand rapidly between myself and Oishi-san. With me having so few allies to begin with and not being able to confidently declare whether or not this was a curse, there was no merit to doing that. I'd better keep the facts of what just happened at the doorway to myself. It would be better if I didn't add what happened here to the memo behind the clock. True. Where's your parents, by the way? I guess they're out, right? There was still the ever so slight possibility that I was actually confused when I thought I was composed and I was just going berserk in the entryway. How wonderful would that be if that was really what happened? I would be able to refute Oyashiro-sama's curse. But if I denied Oyashiro-sama's curse, then that would mean admitting that Rena and the rest were the perpetrators. If I said that Rena and the rest weren't the perpetrators, then that would mean believing in Oyashiro-sama's curse. By denying both of those, I would be admitting that I myself was losing it. The three options from which I couldn't choose became a trilemma of sorts. They mixed together and formed a whirlpool in my mind, making my head spin. Once again, I straightened myself and leaned my head back slightly to cool myself down. Calm down, Keiichi. Accept what has actually happened as reality. Stop thinking of anything more than that. But I couldn't help but think of it. How wonderful it would be if it turned out I was delirious and everything up until now was a figment of my imagination. Oyashiro-sama's curse wouldn't exist and I would still be the bestest buddies with Rena and the rest. I would have to be crazy. That was the first time in my life I'd ever wished for such a thing. Who was calling? The phone rang noisily downstairs. Generally, there were no calls for me, so I never really answered the phone much. But since my parents weren't here, I had no choice. I squirmed off of the bed and went downstairs. Maybe it's Oishi-san.
もしもし、前原です。
ケイイチ、お母さんだけど。
Okay, it's mom. I instantly had a bad feeling about this. It was because I thought she was going to ask me to go out and buy some things. So I took the initiative.
何？別に俺、夕食はインスタントでもいいよ。まだいっぱいあったでしょ？
The other day we went out as a family and bought a whole case of cup noodles. I wanted to get a bunch of different kinds actually, but they refused since the individual packs were expensive, so instead we got a whole case of the mega size pork bone and ginger flavored ones I like. But my parents don't like strong flavors and didn't touch any of them, so the cupboards were still full of them.
だからさ、買い物に行く必要はないんじゃないの？
ケイイチ、買い物のお願いじゃないの。 お父さんとお母さんね、お仕事の関係で急遽東京に行かなくちゃならなくなったの。
Oh no, they have to go to Tokyo? So Keiichi's alone?
今から？
This was really abrupt.
もう着いちゃってるの。お昼には出発してたからね。
It's quite a distance to Tokyo from Hinamizawa. Gunning it full speed down the highway would still take 6 hours. Dad has a license, but since he doesn't like the highway, they likely took the train. It would have taken longer though.
圭一もお父さんとお母さんの話を聞いてたからわかるかもしれないけど、お父さんのお仕事の契約がね、今ちょっとうまくいってないの。
Now that you mention it, I did remember that they talked all the time about how his job prospects weren't looking so good.
お父さんはそういうのに繊細な人だから、このままだとお仕事にも影響が出ちゃうの。
でもそんなの電話でやり取りすればいいじゃないか。
圭一、お父さんのお仕事なんだから、もうちょっと応援してあげてね。とにかく電話よりも直接会って話した方が早いの。誤解もないし。だから帰るのは明日の晩になっちゃうの。圭一、一人で大丈夫よね。
別に死にはしないよ。
圭一、死んじゃうなんて軽々しく言っちゃダメよ。心配事があったら相談してね。母さん、きっと相談に乗れると思うから。
Yesterday, I did bring up if I died rather abruptly, so I suppose they were a little worried. But really, I was more depressed by the fact that nothing would be solved by telling them. But I didn't plan on dying. At least not while I still knew nothing. I would never allow it.
死なないよ。俺はあがいてでも生き延びる。
そう。じゃあね。明日の朝、ちゃんと起きるのよ。朝ごはんは食べてね。お風呂と歯磨きも忘れないのよ。
Yes, Mom.
へいへい。そんじゃ。
The call ended like that. Sometimes my parents went off to Tokyo for business meetings, but Tokyo was far away. They normally did things by the phone. The times they did go were normally planned out in advance. It never happened this suddenly. I couldn't say that those circumstances didn't feel strange or rather unnatural. Anyway, I only need to recognize the reality of the situation. That tonight I was the only one in the house. That when my parents came back from home, I'd be gone missing. Vanished. Looking back on a series of events of the previous 5 years involving Oyashiro-sama's curse, it wouldn't seem that strange at all. Come to think of it, it was getting pretty late. I didn't think it was a good that the only light on in the whole house was from my room on the second floor. It was the same as broadcasting to the enemy that my parents were gone and that was their chance. First, I ran into the living room, clicked on the lights and turned the TV on to a reassuring volume. Next was a study. I similarly turned on the lights and some music. With this, from the outside, it would look like my parents were here. Once again, I went through the house checking to see if there was anything left unlocked. When I saw the veranda and the laundry still hanging out there, I went pale. That would have made it too obvious. I needed to take it down. I snatched out the laundry haphazardly and erased all traces that my mother wasn't there. It should be fine now. The garage. They hadn't gone all the way to Tokyo by car, but they had gone up to the Okonomiya station. The garage was empty, wide open, and in plain sight. This was not good. I panicked and rushed out the back to close the normally open garage door. It should be fine now. I needed to get that paper. Mom always got the paper since they left in the afternoon. The evening paper was still out there. Oh no, he opened the door. My premonition was correct. I pulled out everything from the mailbox and dropped it in the entryway. With this, for sure this time it should be fine. Come to think of it, leaving the cupboard busted like that from my little freakout was kinda bad. I'll just say I tripped and fell back, and the bat I was holding smashed into it. Even so, just leaving it in its current state wasn't good. I should clean it up a little before Mom got back and scolded me. Okay, someone is calling again. I remember that there was a broom and dustpan in the closet. As I was going to get them, the phone rang once again.
もしもし、前原です。
あら、圭一くん、
Oh hell no, why are you calling me?
お母様はいらっしゃいますかしら。
Oh no.
今ちょっといないんですけど。
You idiot, Keiichi Maibara. Don't reveal that your parents are gone. You can follow up still, calm down and take care of it.
すぐに戻ると思います。
Just say she's in the bathroom or something. That wasn't a good response either. Now they might say they'll call again or tell her to call them when she comes back.
なら結構です。大した話でもありませんから。では失礼しますわね。
Oh hell no. The scenario I feared didn't play out, eliciting a sigh of relief. That call was fortunate in more ways than one. I'd have to deal with any telephone calls coming in for my parents tonight. I was somehow able to deal with the phone call just now, but I couldn't continue to rely on such poor improvisation. I needed to make up a good story to explain that my parents were home, but I couldn't answer the phone at the moment. They were making tempura and couldn't step away right now. Just say they're in the bathroom or something, or one of them. That wasn't good enough. They were sick and went to bed because they weren't feeling well. Was that going to be safe enough? Oh my god, who's been calling? I was thinking about it on the way back to my room and the phone rang once again. It was likely they were calling because they knew I was going to lie. I didn't want to pick it up, but I knew I had to. They'd suspect my parents weren't here. I should have just taken the phone off the hook under the pretense that I didn't realize that it was. But since the phone rang, I had to pick it. I prepared myself and lifted up the receiver.
もしもし。
I stopped announcing this was the My Bar residence. I had no reason to be kind to someone I didn't know the identity of. But unlike my uncouth voice, the person on the other side sounded goofy and lighthearted. Oh, is she?
沖宮書房の大石と申しますが。
大石さんですか。
前原さんですか。こんばんは。お元気そうで何よりです。
ちょっと待ってくださいね。
I grabbed the portable handset and rushed up to my room with it. It was the same no matter where I was since there was no one else in the home, but I wanted to be in a spot that just felt a bit safer when speaking on the phone with Uishi-san. Your room
お
again?
待たせしました。
いかがですか、その後おかわりは。
Since then, when was that exactly? There was something about that brazen way he talked that rubbed me the wrong way. The last time I spoke with Uishi-san was 2 days ago. The day I stayed home from school, I met Uishi-san on the way back from the hospital and we headed into town for lunch and had a talk. Then after that, Rena and Mion came to check up on me. Whenever I spoke with Uishi-san, they always knew about it. It was like that since the first time I met him. Today's phone call may well be found out by them as well.
もしもし、聞こえてますか、前原さん。
すみません。なんて言いました？
その後、何か変わったことはありませんかとお尋ねしたんです。お返事がないんで焦りましたよ。
特には。
The words stopped in my throat. There was a ton of stuff that happened. All of it baffling. What should I talk about? I didn't understand any of it, but I should try asking. If I didn't ask now, I may never have another chance. This night, when my parents weren't home, I had no guarantees I would make it through the night safely after all.
その大石さん、やっぱり俺命を狙われているみたいです。
本当ですか？
偶然の可能性もあるんですが、先日俺が病気で休んだ日、夕方にあの二人がお見舞いに来たんです。
あの二人？
レナとミオンです。そしてそこで大石さんと一緒に昼飯を食ったことを正されました。
それで
お見舞いってことでおはぎを置いていったんですが、その中に針が入ってたんです。偶然飲み込まずに済みましたが、これってやっぱり脅迫でしょうか？
その針は？
よく見かけるような普通の裁縫針のようでした。糸を通す穴が開いていて。
違いますよ、前原さん。針です。証拠になります。脅迫だと立証できるかもしれません。
Yeah, but the thing is, yeah, he just threw it away, right?
その針はありますか？
That's right. That's it. I dropped the receiver and rushed downstairs. When I tossed the mochi, I had overlooked it out of terror, but the needle was a valuable piece of evidence. I mean, it's been 2 days. Your mom probably threw it away. I threw the mochi and the needle at the wall together. If it was there, then it would be on the living room wall. But my prudent mother had cleaned that living room wall, and there was not a trace of mochi left on it. Of course, it's been 2 days, sir. Could it be that it dropped in the gap between the wall and the carpet? I frantically searched by running my palm along the carpet, but nothing turned up. I tried moving around, the sofa and desk, pulling up the carpet and flapping it around, but I couldn't find the needle. Did my mom clean up everything without noticing it? It was just 2 days ago. I didn't know what day they collected the burnable trash, but it still might be in the trash in the kitchen. I rushed to the kitchen, opened up the lid of the pail, and poured out the contents. But even at a glance, I could tell that it would be incredibly difficult to find the needle in the pile of trash. True though, it's very small, very thin, it's very hard to see. I was looking for a needle in a trash stack. I know, I'll run my hand through it. It was a bit gross, but I was looking for a needle. If I felt a small prick, I'll be able to find it. It was a pretty tactless method, but it was the quickest. I held my breath and started striking the pile of trash in my hand. Filth flew about. There was nothing more disgusting than this, but it was not the time to be concerned about such details. I continued on for a while, but nothing turned up. I wanted to search more thoroughly, but I was still on the phone. I shouldn't keep Oishi-san waiting for too long. Later, when Mom got back, I'd have to ask her if there was a needle. I hastily began scribbling on the notepad that fixed the refrigerator with a magnet. Was there a needle? I scrawled the words with a red pen. I then dashed back upstairs where I had been keeping Oishi-san waiting for far too long.
もしもし、どうでしたか？
見つかりません。あの時はつい気が動転していて。
そうですか。見つかればでいいんです。保管しておいてくださいね。
That's right, the needle wasn't the only incident. I had to tell him about this morning with the hit and run.
あと大石さん、それだけじゃないんです。実は今朝。
That van was definitely aiming for me. I could say that without question due to the circumstances at the time.
その車のナンバープレートは見ました
Yeah.
か？
You didn't even look for the license plate.
こちらでも探してみます。
Damn. At the time, I just flipped out yelling at him, but I didn't look at the plate. What failures on my part with the needle and the plate number. I mean, you were living your life normally, right? And then all these things happened. You cannot think straight anymore. Just like with the needle. You're eating it, right, the mochi, and then you find a needle, right? Of course, you're just gonna throw it away. You're not gonna think like, or at the moment, I mean that, oh, this could be evidence. No. You're thinking like, why the hell would there be a needle here? What, did Rena put it? Was it a mistake? Was it an accident? Right? I was so focused just protecting myself that I let some of the most important details slip out of my grasp. I punched my pillow, annoyed at how worthless I was.
すみません。白いワゴン車ってこと以外はわかりません。
仕方ないことですよ、前原さん。惹かれかければ気も動転します。
See? True.
やっぱりこれらって偶然じゃないですよね。
Oishi-san started to hem and haw over on the other end. I could imagine him folding his
あ
arms.
と、レナの様子もやっぱり怪しいです。
それはどんな感じですか？
What Rena said on the way home today, asking why I was so much like Satoshi-kun. Oh yeah, that one you could say to Oishi-san though, right? I could say it with confidence. That Rena knew what happened to Satoshi. She knew there was more to it than him just simply
レ
disappearing.
ナは知っています。去年の鬼隠しにあったサトシのことを何か知っています。
それは具体的にどういうことですか？
レナが言うには、俺はサトシとそっくりらしいんです。このまま行くと、俺もサトシと同じ運命をたどると、そんな感じのことを言うんです。
運命ですか？具体的にどんな運命をたどるか言及しましたか？
天候と。
天候？
レナはサトシは転校したって言ってるんです。で、俺もこのままだと転校しちゃうぞって。
Oishi-san let out a stern sigh and then grumbled loudly.
前原さん、それはおそらく何かの脅迫、もしくは警告ですね。
俺もそう思ってます。
At that point, I started to think, would it be prudent to sum up everything that had happened up until now as the machinations of some human perpetrator? Other than the theory of it being Rena and the others, I was left with Oyashiro-sama's curse actually existing as the only explanation. Of course, I couldn't tell that to Oishi-san. Except Rena's strange behavior could be proof of either scenarios. Whether it was Oyashiro-sama's curse being real or everything being part of a conspiracy committed by all the villagers. Rena was involved. Rena had to know something. Rena was suspicious. What exactly was Rena? I couldn't help but think she was somehow involved with a prize string of mysterious deaths. I seem to recall that Oishi-san had admitted that he had dug into Rena's past a little. He was probably just downplaying it when he said a little, meaning he had actually dug pretty deep, most likely. I wanted to hear about Rena. I wanted to know what happened at her previous school, among other things that were still unknown to me. If Rena was somebody I should suspect, no, not that. I wanted to know the truth. Tonight, I was alone in this huge house. Even though I said I couldn't count on them, I had lost the security I'd felt just by my parents being around. It wasn't like this house was some sort of fortress or castle. If a malicious person decided to use brute force, they'd easily gain entry. There were no other residences close to the Maibara residence. No one would be able to hear anything no matter how loud it was. I had never felt as much resentment towards my father's artistic temperament and the fact that he had this house built in such a remote location as I did right now. Oh no, there's a doorbell, right? Oh no. I wonder if I would still be here by tomorrow morning, so I had to ask right now because I had no idea when the next chance would come.
大石さん、聞きたいことがあるんです。隠さないでくださいね。
ええ、何でも聞いてください。
Even though he was so far away on the other end of the line, this was the most reliable he had ever felt. I wanted to ask about Rena, about what happened at her previous school.
実はレナの
I noticed a sound had been going on for a while now. Since I was so focused on the call, I hadn't paid attention to it at first, but I finally realized it was a doorbell. Oh my god, dude, I don't want to go outside like this. This time was 7 o'clock. It was past time the postman would be making a delivery, and past any sensible time for a neighbor to be visiting. I considered just acting like nobody was home, but that wouldn't be good yet because all of the lights are open, right? That would ruin all the work I put in making it look my parents are home. I need to answer the
も
door.
しもし、前原さん。
すみません。誰か来たみたいですので、ちょっと玄関に行ってきます。
お客さんですか。すみません、すみません。今夜のお電話はこれくらいにしましょうか。
Hell no, do not put the phone down. That would be a problem.
いえ、すぐ戻りますから。電話はこのままでいいですか？
はいはい、構いませんよ。
I dropped the handset on my bed and dashed down to the door. I needed to make a good excuse to get them to leave. I had a hunch it was the lady who called right before Oichi-san did. In which case, it would be one of the neighbors who's friends with my mom. I'll just say mom isn't feeling well and went to bed early. That would be the easiest option. Let's go. It'd be hard for her to ask me when to wake up my mom if she's not feeling well. The bell continued to ring at regular intervals. If someone didn't answer after you rung the bell so much, you'd normally give up and go home, wouldn't you? Without removing the chain, I opened the door slightly and peered out at the visitor. A chill ran down my spine. Is it Rena? I knew it. Somewhere deep inside, I had prepared for this moment. I had tried to escape by imagining it was the easiest person to deal with. One of my mom's friends.
こんばんは。
Oh my god.
レナ。
There shouldn't be any reason for Rena to come over at this hour. The timing also made me feel uneasy. Because it was just about I was about to ask Oishi-san about Rena. I wish I could have chalked this up to mere coincidence. But those unsettling words from Mion several days ago echoed back to me. Yes, Mion was here, right, in the doorway. It was chained.
さーてね。おじさんにわからないことはないからね。
レナ一人。
Wait, did you go outside, Keiichi? You dumbass, did you go outside?
うん。
It seems that Mion wasn't with her. But that didn't change the situation at all.
何しに来たんだよ。
ねえ、圭一くん。ちゃんとドアを開けてお話ししたいな。
Hell no. Hell no.
レナは玄関に入っちゃダメなのかな？
No. No. It was true that speaking through a chained door wasn't the right way to talk to a classmate. But how could he even get to the door though? Don't Keiichi have a gate? They don't even lock their gate? I mean... Okay.
うち、夜は必ずチェーンかけてるんだよ。気にすんなよ。
So what is the point of having walls like this if other people could just go inside normally, right?
なら仕方ないかな。
Hey, didn't Keiichi say he doesn't have any neighbors? There's a house right there on the right side. Look at it. Rena looked at the ground sadly, but she kept smiling at least, and her effort to keep that smile up was quite pitiful. Even though she was tugging on my heartstrings, I didn't lower my guard. As long as I stayed like this, even if it made my heart ache, my life wasn't in danger. What I really feared more than the possibility that the hoodlums would assault me if I removed the chain. The thing is, if Rena could go inside like this, right? And if there are other people here with her, they could just hide on the side, right? And when Keiichi opens a door, they could strike, so don't open it. Was trusting Rena enough to remove the chain and having my friendship betrayed? As long as the chain wasn't unlatched, even if it made my heart ache, I wouldn't have to deal with being betrayed by Rena. Since it didn't seem like I'd removed the chain from her silent urging, she appeared to give up on trying to get into the entranceway.
あのさ、ケイチ君。ご飯食べた？
Why, is she gonna give you mochi again? No, I haven't eaten. Since my mom wasn't there, dinner wouldn't be ready no matter how long I waited. I laid down when I got home, was woken up by the phone, and didn't have a chance to eat since I used up all the time talking. I was going to have cup noodles in any case. I could just eat one whenever I wanted to.
いや、まだだよ。それがどうしたよ。
じゃあよかった。これ見て。お惣菜とか持ってきてあげたの。
Rena held a stack of boxes wrapped in cloth.
お台所とか貸してくれれば、お味噌汁も温めてあげられるよ。
No.
いいよ、そこまでしてくれなくても。
でも、お豆腐もお野菜もたっぷりなの。ケイチ君、そういうの嫌いかな。
There's no way I wouldn't like that. I love miso soup with a lot of ingredients. The problem is, it was from Rena, right? White radish, carrots, burdock root, and potatoes, dense and fibrous root vegetables. Yeah, that miso soup looks incredible.
ご飯も持ってきてあげたから、レンジで温めればすぐ食べられるし。
Without a doubt, our rice needs miso soup. Stuffing rice down your gullet, sipping miso soup in between ravenous bites. Oh yes, how wonderful it is to be born Japanese.
それからね、またお漬物を作ってきたんだよ。今度は山菜のお漬物なの。
Before I had moved here to Hinamizawa, I scoffed at the mountain vegetables called sansai, but I was captivated by their charm the first time I tried them. Such a deep yet light flavor. Those so-called supermarket vegetables taste rough and overpowering in comparison. If you had to describe them, they were the vegetables for the uninitiated. To become an expert such as myself, you first had to partake of sansai. It was common knowledge around here that the Ryugu family's traditional pickles were wonderfully delicious. No matter what kind of pickles they were. They go well with that fluffy white rice.
それからね。
But wait, there's more. She got also extra long needles. So delicious, it just seems so delicious. I'm sorry. Farewell to my unhealthy self who said he'd make do with cup noodles. Rena appeared to be in good spirits and she was offering such a delicious sounding dinner. The stress evaporated from my gut and hunger reared its voracious head. At the same time, my awareness of Rena suddenly dwindled. Rena did say she was alone. It shouldn't be a problem letting her inside. Though the possibility that it was laced with poison still hadn't been ruled out. See? He was thinking about poison as well. Keiichi, man, you're getting super paranoid, but... I mean... if you are in his place, right? Yeah, you would feel very paranoid. At the moment, a cold chill ran down my spine once again. I couldn't understand why such a sensation had occurred just then, but the voice inside me was sounding the alarm. This happy Rena speaking of the charming dinner was dependent on one premise. And that premise was that tonight dinner hadn't been made at my house, meaning it was under the assumption that my mom, who should be making it, wasn't here. At any normal household, 7 o'clock would be around the middle of dinner time. If my mom were here, we'd be eating dinner around this time as well. The fact that she brought over all the makings of a meal at this time was inherently strange. Unless she knew. Rena, did she? Did she know that my parents weren't home? But there was also the chance that this was a bluff. I had turned on the lights and a bunch of the other stuff to make it seem like my parents were here. There was a chance that Rena was unsure if my parents were home, but I had to wonder. The laundry, the garage, the evening paper. There were plenty of signs of them being hastily tidied up. It was hard to say that Rena didn't have a chance to determine if my parents were here or not. But there was no reason for me to confess that right now. I should try holding onto the fact that as long as I could. First of all, the chain was still latched. As long as I didn't take it off, Rena wouldn't be able to do anything to me.
ありがたいんだけどさ、もう少しで夕飯ができるみたいなんだよ。
そうなの？そうなの？
せっかくで申し訳ないんだけどさ、その
Unable to think of a good way to refuse, my words trailed off weakly.
でもちょっとはおかずになると思うな。
悪いけど間に合ってるよ。うちのおふくろってさ、結構おかずをいっぱい作るんだよ。だから。
おかずあるの？
With a smile that bordered on a cringe, I dodged her questions apologetically, but the feeling I tried to ignore began creeping up my back again. I spoke as if my mom was setting down dinner right now, but it didn't mesh well with what Rena was saying. Rena was talking as if she was aware of some obvious fact, and that I was aware of it as well.
ケイチ君もおかずとか作れるんだね。
She knows, see? She knows that they're gone.
何を作ったのかな？
いや、その別に俺が。
Rena had assumed out of nowhere that I had made the dishes. No, not so much that I made them, but rather than my mom hadn't.
本当に作ったの？おかず。ケイチ君が？
だから俺が作ったんじゃないよ。おふくろが作った。いや、作ってるんだよ。今。だからさ、悪いけどレナの持ってきてくれたのは食べられないんだよ。
Rena fell silent at the moment. At the moment, I felt that the light had suddenly disappeared from her eyes.
ケイチ君のお夕飯当ててみようか？
なんだっていいじゃないか。
ね。
The conversation might appear natural at first glance, but Rena was firmly in control. It felt like I was being interrogated. Yes, she knows, man. For some reason, Why does she know all the time?
そのお夕飯、お湯だけで作れるんじゃないかな。
Oh my god.
おいおい、侮るなよ。うちのお袋のスペシャルなディナーを見くびるなってんだ。そりゃもう満願全席状態ですごいのなんの。
I tried my best to put on a strong front, but I couldn't grit my teeth quite right. Instead, I looked like someone who was borderline hysterical. But Rena showed no reaction whatsoever, even to that silliness.
ケイチ君、本当にお母さんご飯作ってってくれたの？
いや、だからくれたんじゃなくて今作ってるんだよ。もうすぐ晩飯に。
Ren had taken that assertion of mine that my mother was home and making dinner right now and was completely ignoring it. I could tell that the more I panicked, the colder Rena became.
ねえ、ケイチ君。
At the moment, an uncomfortable chill crept in from the gap in the doorway.
お母さん、お家にいるのかなかな。
You know how creepy it is because she's just talking normally and yeah. I couldn't keep up this charade anymore. Rena, she knew full well that my parents weren't home, but I'd come too far to admit that now. Anyway, my parents were here and we'd be having dinner soon. That was the situation I had concocted. So I answered. I told her she was here. She was here, of course. Sorry. I was so creeped out I read Keiichi's voice. I could feel the humidity drying out from the surrounding air. Rena's eyes were becoming even more frigid, piercing me with their gelid glare.
どうして？
Here we go.
何のことかな？
I tried acting casual, but the facade was torn off me the instant I looked into Rena's eyes. That look, it informed me of Rena's response faster than she could open her mouth.
どうしてさっきから嘘をつくのかなかな。
Jesus Christ, man. Imagine if someone is looking at you like this.
嘘なんか？
嘘だよね。
嘘なんかじゃ。
嘘だよ。
Rena's outburst sent a jolt surging through my body. Rena and I were still separated by what a few inches that slightly ajar but still chained door could afford. But despite that, I was still being cornered. My house, which I'd considered safe haven until now, had become more like a dark alleyway where no one could save me.
ケイチ君のお夕飯当てるよ。ね。
I knew now that Ren had already known that my parents would not be here tonight. But it was still so strange that it had come to this. Even if she somehow knew that my parents weren't home, there was no way she should be able to guess what I'd be eating tonight. But Rena said she'd guess. How could she guess it? Okay, I'm gonna guess that she's gonna guess that the food that Keiichi's gonna make is exactly the same flavor, right, of the cup noodles? Right. Okay, let's see. How could she know it was...
ラーメン当たりでしょ?
Okay. That I was going to eat. Wait, the cooking repertoire of a man who can't do housework is probably nothing but cup noodles after all. Looking at this statistically, it was the most probable answer. That didn't mean she was guessing. She was gonna say the flavor as well. She's gonna say the flavor.
ラーメンだけじゃきっとお腹すくと思うな。ご飯とかも一緒の方がきっと腹持ちいいと思うよ。
Okay, she doesn't know the flavor. Okay. I thought she was gonna know it. But yeah, if she knew it, then damn, she was in the house. Calm down, Keiichi. This was just a coincidence. Rena was just reading certain tales of mine. So the fact that she was inferring what I was thinking alarmed me. But it wasn't as if she was actually reading my mind. It was being read, then she was a demon. No, not a demon. Things like that, they couldn't possibly exist.
好きなの?
ラーメンがかよ。
豚骨生姜味。
Yo, what? What'd she say? She said something though, but yeah, there is nothing on the text. Rena indicated that the point my answer was addressing was wrong. Her rebuttal was short that I momentarily didn't understand the words Ren had spoken.
ごめん、レナ。今なんて？
え？何が？
今さ、何が好きって聞いたんだよ。
It wasn't long before I regretted how carelessly I'd pushed forward with that question. It was such a simple answer that was why I wasn't able to comprehend it.
豚骨生姜味。
I told you, man. I told you. This bipolar girl has been inside the house. I wonder how I appeared in the moments. My mind went completely blank until the moment I was able to recover. Oh, come on, man. Please, just leave. As my field of view began to distort, slowly swirling in a counterclockwise direction, I lost all sense of balance.
なんでそこまでわかるんだよ
I didn't even deny it. That was the type of frenzied state I was in. How could Rena know even this? Not even caring as I mashed my head against the door, I fixated my gaze on Rena. But she didn't even flinch when she saw me do that.
確かに勝った。まとめて勝った。俺が箱買いした。それがどうしてわかるんだ。
なんでかな。不思議だね。だね。
How could you dodge the question at a time like this? The chain and the door suddenly were no longer protecting me.
どうしてわかる。なぜ知ってる。答えろ。
買ったのはセブンスマート。だよね。
7-Eleven? A shiver run up my spine. I tried covering it up with an angry facade.
だからなんでわかるんだよ。
圭一くんの後ろ、ずっとくっついてたから。
My God, what is wrong with you?
何を言ってんだよ。
I couldn't understand why she was saying she'd been following me all this time.
だから、レナが
Okay.
圭一くんの後ろにずっとくっついてたの。
Don't laugh like that, I'll smack you. Like that night? That night I was absorbed in my phone conversation with Oishi-san. I didn't even sense her being there, standing behind the door. Behind me, standing there, just like that.
圭一くんがいろんなラーメン選んでるとこ、後ろからずっと見てたの。いろんな種類を選んでたんだよね。それでお母さんに怒られたの。高いラーメンばっかり選ぶから一種類にしなさいって。それで圭一くん大好きな大きいカップの豚骨生姜味を選んだんだよね。
Hell no, man.
レナも好きだよ。
No, you didn't. You don't like it. You don't like it, Rena.
豚骨ラーメン。でも大きいカップは全部食べきれないけどね。
My brain was paralyzed, dulling my senses. Oh my God. It might have been a defense mechanism to diminish the fear I was feeling to non-traumatizing levels. With the fear being diminished, the fog of enveloping my mind was cleared away. Then I could understand what Rena was saying and started to put meaning behind her words. Even so, my fear hadn't subsided completely. It was like I was standing at the edge of the cliff, eyes closed so I didn't have to look down. It didn't actually solve any of the basic problems. I slowly took a step backwards, and as I withdrew, Rena advanced.
だから圭一くん、ここを開けて。
About no.
レナと一緒にご飯食べよ。
No, eat your dinner by yourself, Rena. Go home.
きっと美味しいから。ね。
Oh, hell no. Close the door. If her fingers, get crushed there, it doesn't matter. Rena's pale, slender fingers squirmed to the crack in the door one at a time as if they had a mind of their own, rattling the chain. Doesn't this, yeah, this show has an anime, right? Or this game, I mean, has an anime. Did they show this in the anime? Like all of this, basically? How creepy it was? If she had latched a chain from the door, a feeling of terror would have just exploded within me. I want to try the anime now, man, but yeah, we have a lot of chapters, so I don't know what the anime covers, so I may accidentally see some spoilers. So yeah, probably after I finish all of these games, I'll watch it. But Rena didn't do that. She was simply imploring me to remove the chain. I tried my hardest to light the fuse to the powder keg in my heart. Trying again and again. Clatter, clatter. But if it doesn't light, it doesn't light.
開けて、ケイチくん。
Don't Keiichi me.
帰ってくれ。頼むから帰ってくれ。
どうしてそんな意地悪を言うのかな。
How do you hide it? Like this, right? Wait, how do you go back? Wait, I don't know how to go back anymore. Okay, there we go. No, I was gonna check if we can full screen this. Because yeah, it's very creepy. Look, she's kind of shouting now.
帰ってくれ。帰れよ。帰れ。
And the powder keg inside me finally went off. No smoldering, it just exploded. I tackled the door. The force of the door had knocked Rena momentarily off balance. I couldn't hesitate here. Close it, yes. Grabbing the doorknob with both hands, planted my feet firmly, and pulled with all my might. But that slamming sound I so desired didn't happen. I could feel a tiny disturbing bit of resistance keeping the door from closing. Oh, she's still pulling it? And the source of that was Rena's fingers. Oh no. Yeah, just close it. Doesn't matter. Each of his fingers are wriggling, squirming around like the tendrils of a carnivorous plant through the crack in the doorway.
痛いよ、ケイチくん。痛い。
It wasn't a harsh shriek, but more of a yelp. She was trying to keep back.
帰れ。帰れ。帰れ。
I kept on pulling the door with all my might. I didn't even realize that if I didn't loosen my pull on the door at least, momentarily, Rena wouldn't be able to pull her fingers out, and that was why the door wasn't closing.
本当に痛いの、ケイチくん。悪ふざけが過ぎたなら謝るよ。
You weren't messing around. I didn't care one bit for apology. No matter how much she apologized, it didn't change any of what she had done up until now. It didn't change anything.
痛いの。痛いの。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
帰れ。帰れ。帰れ。
What would you do in this situation, man? I don't know. I'd probably kick the door and kick Rena out, but... Like, yeah, I would probably freeze if someone did this. Rena couldn't leave even if she wanted to because I trapped her fingers. Rena's white fingers had become deep red and were no longer even squirming.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Okay, open the door a little bit, then... Yeah, unclasp her hands, her fingers there, Keiichi.
ごめんなさい。
帰れ。帰れ。帰れ。
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Rena's apologies were occasionally twisted with pain, but... Like a broken record, she wasn't intent on repeating it over and over. I pulled on the door even harder. Finally, Rena's fingers were somehow able to slip out from their imprisonment in the doorway. The moment that happened, the door closed soundly and I could hear the thud of Rena falling on her butt on the other side. I locked the door immediately. It made a loud clunk, voicing my rejection to Rena.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ケイチくん、ごめんなさい。ここを開けて。ケイチくん。
Hell no! Rena leaned against the door, apologizing profusely and nothing else. After confirming that I was sufficiently sealed off from her, I trudged away from the entryway. On the other side, I could still hear Rena echoing her apology. I'm sorry, those pitiful words, they would be forever seeking my forgiveness. I didn't feel bad about it at all. But that wasn't out of any sort of malice. I just felt sort of a hazy sense of relief that I was able to escape Rena. before Mion had threatened me at this doorway, saying there was nothing she didn't know. And now, at the same place, Rena told me the same thing. My feeble attempts to disguise the fact my parents weren't home had served no purpose from the start. I should have just pretended to be out and then not even opened the door. Yeah, my meager plans hadn't helped at all. In Hinamizawa, it was impossible to outwit them. Even though I was on the other side of the door, I wanted to get as far away from Rena as possible. One step, two step, with each one, her sniveling apologies became more distant. I sprinted up the stairs and dove into my room. As you would expect, I was finally no longer able to hear Rena repeating her endless apology. Diving into my bed, I was startled by the hard lump I felt. There was something in my bed? It was the receipt. Oh, the phone. Yes. Okay. I finally remembered Oishi-san. I was in the middle of a call with Oishi-san. Looking at the clock, apparently not much time has passed since I went downstairs. What? It's been like 30 minutes. Could it be that my clock had run out of batteries? I had talked with Rena for so long, how did almost no time pass? But the hand on the clock was ticking forward 1 second every second as usual. As I put the still warm receiver to my ear, time which felt frozen began moving once again.
もしもし、大石さん。
Ooh, that was so intense, man. God damn it.
お待たせしてすみませんでした。
いえいえ、大してお待ちしていませんよ。
It became apparent that the amount of time had passed between myself and Oishi-san were different. Over the phone, I could hear an energetic voice from a sports program or something. It drove home just how far away Oishi-san really was.
今、レナが来ました。
遊びに来たんですか?
Yeah, she came to play, alright. I wasn't confident that I could coherently explain the situation to Oishi-san. But I didn't need to right now. Right now, I needed to know about Rena. That's right, I was planning to ask Oishi-san more about Rena, but Rena's little visit had interrupted the conversation. What was true and what was false, I couldn't tell. The only one thing I knew was a single grim reality that Rena was suspicious. I might be able to figure something out if I ask Oishi-san about her. Up until now, I had regretted it whenever I forced myself to ask about things that I was better not knowing. But looking at it that way, you could say I'd hit rock bottom. There was no possible way I could feel any more regret than I did right now. I wanted to know if there was anything beyond this, and I would regret more. Forget about tomorrow. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility for something to happen tonight. I wanted to know everything I could. I was absolutely not gonna die like this. Not without knowing anything. I definitely won't.
リュウグレナさんのことですか? 調べましたよ。まあ簡単には。
I understood that Oishi-san was talking in circles. A bit meant I dug so deep it'd be hard to discuss with you since you're her friend.
その簡単な全てを知りたいんです。
あなたが聞いて面白いような話はありませんよ。
大石さん。
I spoke as calmly as possible to Oishi-san, who was continuing to avoid the issue. And then I said it.
リュウグレナは怪しいと思っています。過去の事件がたとえお社様のたたりによるものだったにせよ、リュウグレナは関わっています。
レナさんが怪しいと思える具体的な証拠があるのですか?
The manner in which Oishi-san spoke became very firm. Do you have some sort of proof? And I was in talking as a detective.
状況証拠だけです。
Circumstantial though. Hell no.
そうですか。
That's not gonna work. I could tell even over the phone how disappointed Oishi-san was. Pulling on the fishing line when he felt a bite. Only to reel in the bait, disappointed but ready to cast the line once more. That's how it seemed.
大石さん、 目に見える証拠がなければ動けないんですか？
What I meant was, you can't come and save me without proof. I stuck that barb in there. Oishi-san loved roundabout ways of saying things. He understood me just fine.
大丈夫ですよ、前原さん。あなたは私が守ります。
That was not the least bit reassuring. Oishi-san was just using me to continue his investigation. I was just going to get killed and my corpse would be an important piece of evidence. That was all it was to him.
大石さんの捜査は俺の生死と無関係でしょうが、俺は死ねば終わりなんです。
Oishi-san went into a silent on the other end of the line. That may have been too blunt, but I didn't care. All I needed to relate to Oishi-san was that I was currently in a very dangerous situation or position.
だから話してください。レナのこと。
Yes, tell me.
サトシは転校しました。多分俺もそれほど遠くない将来、レナの言う転校をするでしょう。ですが大石さんには俺の死体を見つけることもできないでしょうね。現にサトシの死体だってまだ見つけられてない。
前原さん、どうか落ち着いて。
I was already suppressing my agitation even without Oishi-san having to tell me. It wouldn't solve anything if I continued to scream about my mistrust in the police. It would seem that I only could depend on myself and the bad Satoshi left behind to protect myself. Then I at least know about what happened before Rena transferred schools.
つまらない話になるのは覚悟の上ですね。
Oishi-san, realizing my resolve, couldn't be swayed. He finally caved in. Finally, sir.
今の俺にとってつまらない話は何一つありません。お願いします。
まずいくつかお断りすることがあります。
はい。
他言無用でお願いします。
Okay.
また内容には一部憶測も含まれているかもしれません。すべてが真実ではないかもしれないということです。よろしいですね。
Yes.
真実ではないかもしれない。言ってる意味がよくわかりません。
ひなみ沢の連続開始事件は捜査本部がありません。毎年の事件は個々に扱われています。ですから竜宮レナが捜査線に浮上したことは一度もないのです。つまりですね、
レナの調査は警察としてでなく個人として行ったということですか？
ご理解いただけて助かります。話のほとんどは電話もしくは会って聞かせてもらったものばかりです。ですから裏が取れていません。鵜呑みにしないでほしいということなんですよ。ご理解いただけますね。
全部聞いた話だけなんですか？
ええ、申し訳ないです。
あれ、
Sorry.
以前レナのカルテを見たって言いませんでしたか？確かにそう聞きましたよ。
Oishi-san paused for a moment on the other end of the line.
そんなことも言いましたかね。気のせいということにしてください。
I didn't care about Oishi-san having certain obligation and responsibilities. I also didn't care that if there was no proof. Even if they were just rumors, there was no smoke without fire after all.
話してください、大石さん。
わかりました。
Oishi-san finally opened those tight lips of his. It seemed that Rena lived in Hinamizawa a long time ago, okay. She had moved to Ibaraki Prefecture just before starting elementary school. Then following that, right after transferring, the unfortunate incident with the breaking of the school windows happened. Though Rena confided to the doctor, it was Oyashiro-sama. This was everything I knew. Yeah, we knew this already though.
私が知る話も 前原さんと大きくは変わりません。
ではどこを詳しく調べたんですか？
I didn't need to ask. It was the incident right before she transferred back to Hinamizawa.
レナが起こした事件とその後の医者での告白ですね。
はい。
大石さんはその内容を知っているからこそレナたちを疑っているんですね。
ええ、疑っています。
やはりレナたちが犯人。
ああ、いえ、疑うとはそういう意味ではないんです。
Question mark? Oishi-san was the type of person to say things with confidence, but these particular words were less than reassuring.
じゃあ何を疑ってるんですか？
お社様ですよ。
Wait, what? Okay.
お社様のたたりって本当にあるのかな。なんてまあ。
Okay, I'm kind of creeped out with Oishi as well. What? Oh, yeah, he's laughed though. It was quite dry. Certainly not the kind that would make you want to join in. Oishi-san resumed the conversation about the dubious circumstance behind Satoshi's disappearance, the course of events leading him to delve into Rena's past. Just then there was thunder in the distance and a heavy rain started pouring down. It came without warning, a downpour fiercely beating the ground. I had left the window in my room open to crack to let the heat out. The violent wind danced into my room, making the curtains flap wildly.
どうしました？
あ、いえ、急にすごい雨が。すみません。どうぞ続けてください。
I got up while still on the phone and grasped the window.
はじめに事件と申し上げましたが、学校側も被害者も告発していないので、正式には事件ではないのです。でですね、この辺りがどうも関係者皆さん口が重いんですよ。被害者の一人は片目に後遺症を残すぐらい殴られているのにもかかわらずです。
Huh?
学校側か、もしくは表沙汰になるのを望まない何者かがいろいろ根回しをしたのかもしれませんね。またカウンセリングを担当した神経科医も職業倫理に厳格な方で。もしもし、前原さん。
Yeah, I'm listening.
聞こえてます？
There was a figure of a person standing by the light near the mailbox this whole time. Even in this torrential rain, they didn't have an umbrella. They were unquestionably drenched from head to toe. In the shower, which more resembled a waterfall, droplets of water dripped down from her hair. Oh my god. Just standing there, both arms dangling at her side. In one hand was a stack of boxes wrapped in a cloth. Her eyes focused in my room, focused on me as I was about to close the window. Her mouth was methodically repeating a chewing motion. It as if she had something hard to chew in her mouth, with her cheeks puffing out. What could she be eating over there? How could it be at this time? I was more enthralled by Rena instead of the shocking developments being brought to light by Oishi-san. If it hadn't started raining, I wouldn't have gone to the window. Then I wouldn't have noticed Rena. Look at her fingers though, it's bloody, right? Yeah, her fingers, yeah, because it got injured, I suppose. Okay, I'm gonna find a way how to, like, close this down so we can see the full image next time. She wasn't eating something, she was repeating something. What was it? I guess she kept saying, I'm sorry. Gomenasai. To me? What was she saying? And why was I right up against the window, fixated on her?
もしもし、前原さん、聞こえてますか？もしもーし。
ごめんなさい。
See, I told you, say gomenasai.
前原さん。
ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい、ごめんなさい。
もしもし、前原さん、どうしましたか？
Even in this torrential downpour, Rena was still apologizing. The other self inside me drew the curtain hastily with my right hand, blocking my view of the outside. But even doing that, Rena's relentless apology still reached my ears. I'm sorry. Gomenasai. 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 If I forgive you for this, will you forgive me for that? Please stop. Please stop. Please stop, Rena. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. God damn it. Why should I have to forgive her? I'm the one who wants to be forgiven. What part of me can't you forgive? I won't be killed. If you won't forgive me, then I won't forgive you either. I won't forgive. I won't forgive. Won't forgive. Won't forgive. Won't forgive. My God, this just goes on and on and on.
前原さん、聞こえてるなら返事をしてください。
Sorry, Uishi-san. Keiichi is having a mental breakdown here.
もしもーし。
What the F, man? I don't want to play this anymore. Split personality.
よく映画などに登場しますが、簡単に言うとどのようなものでしょうか？
複数の人格を持つことによる逃避と考えられています。
多重人格は逃避の一つなのですか？
さようです。そのメカニズムは完全には解明されていませんが、精神を守るために脳が行う防御行動の一つではないかと考えられています。
例えば貧乏な人がお金持ちになった自分を想像するという現実逃避ってありますよね。これも多重人格なわけですか？
極論はできませんが、講義的にはそう解釈できます。つまり誰にでもあり得る現象なのです。
その現実逃避の見境がなくなると二重人格になるのですか？
ちょっと難しいですね。そう提唱する説もありますし、否定する説もあります。諸説紛々です。
では精神医学の世界ではまだ多重人格というのは未知の解明されていない現象なんですか？
残念ながらそうなります。今後の研究が期待されます。
でも二重人格なんてなんだかかっこいいですよね。どういう人が二重人格になれるんですか？
なれると言いますか、なりやすいと言いますか、最近の研究では遺伝と死因が複雑に絡み合い、中でも幼少期の育児体験が大きく作用するのではないかと言われています。
そういえばこの A 君も家庭に問題を抱えてるんですよね。気の毒に。7つの人格を持つ青年 A。
7? What movie was that? Split? I think there was a movie called Split, right? And that there was one guy who had multiple personalities. What was the name of the actor again? I forgot. He was Professor Xavier in X-Men. But yeah, the other one, the other X-Men, the younger one. Forgot his name though.
では VTR の続きをどうぞ。
Like he had different personalities and one of them was called the Beast, the violent one.
ですがその前にコマーシャル。
What? I wonder right after these commercials. They got baited, man. They're not gonna show us anything. Okay, it's 7th Mart. Okay, let's see this one. The 7th Mart was a bargain supermarket with food and alcohol. What's this, Keiichi? There's no sound. So many. There's no reason to get all the different kinds, is there? I flopped all the different colored cup noodles bowls into the cart.
最近のカップ麺は凝ってて種類も多いんだよ。どれも一通りは食ってみたいし。
I knew it was pretty selfish of me, but I thought I at least tried to give it a try. Keiichi. Buy them in the big case, it's cheaper. Dad faltered. Well, I had a feeling it ended up like this. Now that Dad had thrown his hat into the ring, I had to compromise.
それじゃあ一種類しか食えないよ。飽きちゃうって。
I was resisting as a formality. I had already given up inside and wasn't sure which case of noodles to get. If you can't pick, then mommy will pick for you. You don't have to rush me. I quickly searched the case of noodles for what I want. Pork bone, ginger, large cup. Hey Keiichi, can't you get a more normal one? Is pork bone, I mean, and ginger really good? I haven't tried that flavor. If I let mom pick, she'd on the side of safety and get soy sauce or salt flavored. So when I plonked a large box of pork bone flavor in the shopping cart, mom looked back at me with an expression as if to say, "These ones?" To show her this was my last compromise, I began explaining the choice.
豚骨はうまいんだよ。大盛りだけど大味ってわけじゃないし。
I remembered insisting that the noodles I picked were the right kind. In this frozen memory in time, this encapsulated world, I didn't have the power to look around my surroundings. So I did what I could and reached out at my hearing and vision, sharpening my senses to find the presence I overlooked. No matter how many times I searched for my field of vision, I couldn't see Rena. I rewound the situation, searching. But of course I couldn't find her. I mean, she's good. Then, was she spying at me from my blind spot? I got through the sound and presence again looking. I could sense the other customers. They were all mixed about moving as they pleased. There was nobody looking over this way and no one trying to get behind me. Not here. Couldn't be here. Probably wasn't here. I would have definitely noticed if someone was right behind me, even when I wasn't on my guard. I smiled really at the thought of using vague word like probably right before contradicting it with definitely. The music, man. Then I paused my mental replay as a chill ran down my spine. There was definitely a presence like a shadow behind me. That was a terror unlike any other. If a presence really had manifested behind me, I would definitely have turned around to check for it. But the world had moved on and there was no way for me to turn around. While carrying that frightening shadow on my back, I was gleefully running around the store, searching for a case of noodles. Running through the instant noodle section, bad-mouthing my mom. But there was this presence constantly on my back, sticking to me like a shadow. No way to see what it was, realizing it now after the fact that it was horrifying and repulsive. In that moment of time, I was running around gleefully, carrying the cardboard box, tip and tap, but listening to the moment again, I could hear footsteps other than mine, going pit-pat with every step. Tip-tap, tip-tap. Pit-pat, pit-pat. While I was running, the sound of those barefoot footsteps going pit-pat were right behind me. Me running around gleefully in that close-up moment in time. But I didn't hear it. No, I heard it. That's why I remembered it. I didn't think I had heard anything. That's why I didn't turn around. That is why I didn't turn around. In that moment, the pit-pat of those footsteps were following me the entire time. I couldn't run faster and escape. I couldn't run any faster than I had ran at the time. I couldn't turn around. I hadn't turned around before, not once. Then I returned to my parents and started talking. The shadow-like presence was right at my back. Since I didn't move, the shadow didn't move. That is why I made it, or why it made no sound. That was all. At that time, I hadn't taken a single step while talking with my parents. I was just standing there. This was undeniable. And yet, I heard it. A pit-pat. That shouldn't be. If I took these 3 steps, it followed 3 steps. Wasn't that the rule? There was no sound other than that. At the time, the entire world had gone dark. A sudden darkness. It was the end of my reflective journey. I was tired. I wanted to end it. Someone turned on the light. Except my body couldn't move. What? Wait, what? Wait, is he dreaming this? As if I was soon into that moment in time. My past self's hair stood on the end. That's impossible. Now that's just breaking the rules. I haven't moved. So you shouldn't be moving either. I couldn't move. So you shouldn't be able to move either. Follow the rules. Yet the sound echoed in the darkness once again. The hair on the back of my neck pricked up on the end. It was so close that it was hard to tell whether it was touching the hair or not. Why couldn't I move? Like how the presence was moving behind me. I quickly realized I could move. It's just that I was so scared I didn't want to. But now was the only time I could turn around. It was something unforgivable in this moment of time. But I needed to turn around immediately. As if my entire being was trying to force me to stop, it began to administer a pain like a needle being stuck into my every pore. I'll turn around. I'll turn around. I'm not scared at all. I'll turn around. Yes, just go. A scream I was unable to vocalize. I turned around. At first I couldn't understand the meaning of it. What is this? Just a person's mouth might bite into an apple, slurp the juices, and finally discovered that it was an apple. My mind began to process the scene before my eyes by eating the apple. Munch, munch, chew, chew. Slurp the juices and discover the apple. Meaning what was in front of me was... What the hell was that, man? They didn't even show us. Are you serious? My God. I don't know. Yes. I think it is the most scariest episode yet. To hell with Rena, man. What's your problem? Like, yeah, this was very scary. I don't know what to think. Let's just see what happens in the next episode, right? Are we close to ending this? Yeah, it's because it just goes up and up and up. The intensity every episode, every part we have. Every time, ever since it was Onikakushi BS. Damn. Okay. Let's move on. So yes, we're gonna continue this and do more Higurashi when they cry. Onikakushi in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.